share a revulsion at injustice and wage inequality and wealth disparities. Most progressives are bound together by a deep respect for the dignity of work and, in Tolstoy's words, the fundamental religious feeling that recognizes the equality and brotherhood of man. Progressives typically share a common suspicion of concentrated power, especially private power. Some of those who sat at Desk 88 played crucial roles when the country was in the midst of progressive times. Others, at great risk to their political careers, espoused progressive principles in more difficult eras when the country was in a particularly conservative, sometimes dark and angry mood. Often the great achievements of the occupants of Desk 88 took place somewhere else, in the ornate hearing rooms of the Russell Senate Office Building, in union halls or church basements, at veterans' lodges, or in school auditoriums. But sometimes, and there are examples in this book, the desk itself bore witness to a turning point in progressive history. The greatness of these senators was most evident when they spoke out and fought against the special interests that have always had too much influence in our government. Like most legislators throughout U.S. history, the senators of Desk 88 have been disproportionately white and male. The Senate historian believes that no woman has yet called Desk 88 hers, even as this book celebrates the men who articulated and achieved progressive goals. Its final chapter will acknowledge the work still to be done and highlight a new generation of progressives working for equality and opportunity. Progressive movements arouse the public as they fight the abuse of power by oil companies, Wall Street, the tobacco industry, and huge pharmaceutical firms. They challenge the dominance of the big banks and big oil and the gun manufacturers, and they attack entrenched racism and sexism. They want to reform a broken system under which powerful interest groups almost always have their way in the halls of Congress and in state legislatures across the country. They speak out against what William Jennings Bryan labeled predatory wealth. Fundamentally, progressives want an America where the voiceless are heard in the government, where those without wealth or power have a government that represents them. And as progressives fight for civil rights and women's rights, for LGBTQ rights and labor rights, in short, the fight for equality is what defines a progressive. We know that progress has never come easy, even in the United States of America. Almost 2 decades ago, I addressed a Workers' Memorial Day rally in Lorain, Ohio. I stood in front of a 50-foot-high pile of black iron ore pellets where the Black River empties into Lake Erie. After the event, the steelworker Dominic Cataldo handed me a lapel pin depicting a canary in a birdcage. This pin, he told me proudly, symbolizes our decades-long fight for worker safety. Ever since, I've worn my canary pin to honor the millions of Americans who have fought for traditional American values and to celebrate the dignity of work. In the early days of the 20th century, more than 2,000 American workers were killed in coal mines every year. Miners took a canary into the mines to warn them of toxic gases. If the canary died, they knew they had to escape quickly. It was a warning system built out of desperation. With no trade unions strong enough to help and no government that seemed to care, the miners were on their own. Americans in their churches and temples, in their union halls and neighborhood organizations, in the streets and at the ballot box, fought to change all that. Our progressive forebears convinced our government to pass clean air and safe drinking water laws, to approve auto safety rules and protections for the disabled, to enact Medicare and civil rights and consumer protections, to create Social Security and workers' compensation, to sponsor medical research, and build airports and highways and public transit and municipal water and sewer systems. Every accomplishment, every step forward came in the face of entrenched and powerful opposition, from big oil and Wall Street, from tobacco companies and pharmaceutical firms, from industries that poisoned our air and fouled our rivers. Tens of millions of Americans now live longer and healthier lives because activists all over our nation fought for our American values of fairness and economic justice. History shows that progressives and progressivism are at their best when they appeal to a sense of community. To progressives, it was always about public health and public safety and public education and public works. But too often in modern America we see